It is absolutely wrong to allow a set of individuals to acquire the ownership and possession of resources which are God-given. They are not man-made. The land, the water, the forests, the animals, the fish in the river, the minerals. These are given us by nature. And it is in principle wrong for any one man to claim ownership of such resources, which should belong to the people as a whole.
Pan-Africanism.com is going down.
Soon we'll find out who is the real revolutionary.
Bob hit the nail on the head when he fell on his deathbed. The streets ran red with blood, sweat, and tears. It was too many years for liberation, colonization, enslaved the whole nation. Cecil stole that, called it Rhodesia. Too many white folks catching amnesia. How convenient, history is not an agreement. I guess it's based on how you see it. Nah, but wrong. Mugabe's right, we gotta fight. It's related to the Africa. Africa's our land, the future's in our hands. Now here's a list of our demands. Reparations for what you stole. The people, the land, the diamonds, the gold. Stop the bombing us, neo-coons, Uncle Tom and us, selling us your empty promises. Yo, economists propagandizing what time it is. Fuck that digital shit. Back up off our nuts a little bit and let's take it back to the futuristic. I testify as a material witness. These motherfuckers is too sadistic. If you got some melanin, you can get with this. X that, if you hear this, that's the business.
Africa, the rightful land of we forefather was stolen away by thief and robber. The invade will and take away the silver. They take away the home but not the culture. You take a little thing black man a fight for. We want back the land of we forefather. Christopher Columbus was a rascal liar. To be quite precise, he was a friggin' robber.
Soon we'll find out who is the real revolutionary.
Kwame Nkrumah, Second Chimurenga, Thomas Sankara, the leaders of tomorrow, the future Garvey's, the future Lumumba's, the future Bikos, the future heroes. Let's celebrate a free Zimbabwe, we doing it our way, a national holiday, no more imperialism, not the day, fuck the IMF, fuck the World Bank, United States of Africa, not African. You think I'm dumb? I know where I'm from, the continent. I ain't claiming no block, you got me bent. I meant what I said and said what I meant. Obama ain't my president, that's just white power in the black face. This about
M1,
liberation, not race.
The signs are all around us, the writings in the way. You know this what to look for, the message will be clear. The read between the lines, the pick the sense from nonsense. No be fooled by the lies, politics, false pretense. Mental slavery keeps us blinded, lies block the truth. To stop collaborating, they divide us into groups. Racialism, prejudice, sexism, to name a few. Unity is strength, so they divide us and rule. Burn up.
Let me see you stand up. Put your hands up, let me see you stand up. Put your hands up, let me see you stand up. Put your hands up, let me see you stand up. Put your hands up, let me see you stand up. Put your hands up, let me see you stand up. Put your hands up, let me see you stand up. Put your hands up, let me see you stand up.
If we trust them and them a move so illegal.
I wrote this tune because I was hearing in Zimbabwe, the president of Zimbabwe's name is Robert Mugabe. Anybody who knows Robert Mugabe, make some noise if you don't know. Boom, I made the tune because he was getting a lot of bad flack in the US press. And so the Wall Street Journal put out this position about him being a terrorist in his own country and the rest. And then it was adopted in hip hop music. And Nas and Damian Marley put out a song that was talking about On the Road to Zion and how Robert Mugabe was this awful person. And I just believe that it was the wrong impression to give of the empowerment of Africa and what Africa really needs. And so the reason why I wanted to slow the song down is because I rap really fast. I say Nas was wrong, Mugabe's right, we gotta fight. He's related to Africa. Africa's our land, the future's in our hands. Now here's a list of our demands. Reparations for what they stole, the people, the land, the diamonds, the gold. Stop the bombing us, neo-coons, Uncle Tom and us, selling us your empty promises. Yo, economists, propagandizing what time it is. Fuck that digital shit. Back up off my nuts a little bit. Let's take it back to the futuristic. I testify as a material witness. These motherfuckers is too sadistic. If you got some melanin, you can get with this. X that. If you hear this, that's the business. And so that's what that's about. Thank you. We are celebrating the already pioneered leadership of our African heroes and revolutionaries who blazed a path that may have been even far beyond some of the gauge of some of us. People like Amilcar Cabral, people like Kwame Nkrumah, people like Sekou Toure, people like Robert Mugabe have been shining lights for Africa and Africa's idea about unification for empowerment. When we talk about the United States of Africa in a real way, an anti-imperialist, non-compromising force, you got to consider what the work that Amilcar Cabral put down. And I'm here to say that I've always been on that front. That's what M1 represents, what Dead Prez has represented, and what we're going to continue to represent for our future. We know that Africa is a future not only just because it's a beautiful place to be, because it's the most powerful place on the planet. And I'm after the power, and I hope you are too. So check this out, buy one of these, let's get this power popping.
To tell you the truth, in politics you have to have an inbuilt system of shock absorbers, and I just don't care what they say, as long as I know I'm right. So they can say anything in their papers, damage me in every way possible, as long as the people I lead are behind me and approve of what we are doing. That's what matters. The rest of the world will one day be persuaded to believe we were right when we resorted to armed struggle.
We have learned a lot. In fact, I would rather say Smith is a great teacher.
Smith is a great teacher?
Yes, because all the attacks he has made on us have improved our tactics. So each attack next, we sit down, analyze it, make scientific analysis, and then we come out with some solution to it, and that is part of increasing our knowledge.
ZANU now claims to have 40 or 50,000 able-bodied personnel, and it's broadly accepted that they've up to 15,000 men and women at arms. ZANU's military commander, Josiah Tongagara, was the most feared and wanted man in Ian Smith's Rhodesia. He trained for a time in China, but had to learn the hard way how to fight a guerrilla war. Just after dawn on the 23rd of November 1977, Rhodesian paratroops began an attack on two camps near Chimoio and Nyadzonia in Mozambique, described as terrorist bases. According to the UN, at one camp, there were no combatants, only refugees.
Planes came in the morning and carried out such massacres, dropped paratroopers, who then as ground force ringed this camp, these two camps. And as these youngsters started running in all directions, they were bayoneted. I'll never forget the sight of the little kids at the school, where the bombs were dropped with their pencils and paper outside, and the little bodies scattered everywhere. It was so brutish, it was incredible. They killed the sick, dragging them from ambulances and beheading them. You see, to this day, we have not attacked one white school in the country. Not because those kids are defended. We have not attacked one white hospital in the country, when we are absolutely certain everyone sick in there is white. Princess Margaret Hospital, we could hit it tomorrow. We said no, it's barbaric, it doesn't belong to the 20th century, that's not the way you fight a war. If 400 children were killed in London or in New York, it would be a story never to forget. It would be everywhere. But no, it wasn't given any publicity at all abroad. It was just, you know, maybe because it's black kids. It may be black women.
Revolution is an intoxicating theory. Its reality is tragic. Zimbabwe Rhodesia is now a land of refugees. Not just a few thousand well-publicized whites, but well over 250,000 blacks have fled the country, and most of them have gone to Mozambique. Neither ZANU nor the impoverished Mozambicans can cope. Despite growing aid from the United Nations and the World Council of Churches, there's precious little medicine and hardly any food. The result is pitiful. Many of these families have fled here simply to escape the fighting. Many more have made the dangerous journey to escape from the guarded corrals, which the Salisbury regime calls protected villages, but which some of the refugees describe as open prisons. But they're not always safe, even here. Inside Zimbabwe, the guerrillas say they've widespread support. This ZANU film was taken in what they call a liberated area, where they claim to have effectively set up their own administration, even to the extent of giving white farmers ZANU passes for safe conduct. They're farming themselves, sometimes on a huge scale, and they're teaching the villagers how to put their theories of socialist cooperation into practice.
Do you find a lot of supporters among the villagers?
Oh yes, oh yes. When we open a new area, we don't just go and fight. First of all, we make a study, investigation among the masses. They tell us their national grievances, and those we exploit and use them. You explain to them why you have come to them, why you are fighting this war. They have to understand it, and they have to. Or you have also got to explain the difficulties which will come thereafter from the enemy, because the enemy is going to conduct some atrocities. So you have got to explain this to them, and you let them volunteer themselves and say, yeah, we are ready for that. We are prepared to face any difficulties in order to liberate our own country.
What has been suggested to us over and over again is that this idea of socialism will not work. In other words, we are being persuaded to get stuck with capitalism. During the 1920s, the 1930s, our fathers, our forefathers, worked like slaves, getting paid almost nothing to build the economic infrastructure. Now, is it not common sense that when we fight to liberate the country and want to introduce a new system, we should look for a system which is different from capitalism? I'm absolutely convinced that I would be happier in a socialist country. I've recently been to the United States, the show of capitalism there, the way it plays on your mind, even on television, when you ought to get more acquainted about the things that matter around the world. No, I shouldn't like to live under such a system.
A socio-legal order in the country in which people are petrified, in which people go to bed having barricaded their doors and their windows because someone belonging to the special branch of the police will break into their houses. This is what we've been fighting against. Every one of us has been in jail 10 years, 14 years. I myself 9 without trial. Every one of us has had to live scared of the police. How on earth could we create a society which is exactly like that? We don't want it. We are fed up of it. And this is why we are in this revolution for as long as it's necessary to abolish this system.
It is absolutely wrong to allow a set of individuals to acquire the ownership and possession of resources which are God-given. They are not man-made. The land, the water, the forests, the animals, the fish in the river, the minerals. These are given us by nature. And it is in principle wrong for any one man to claim ownership of such resources. We should belong to the people as a whole.
What some of us are fighting for is to see that this oppressive system is crushed. We don't care whether, I don't even care whether I would be part of the top echelon in the room. I'm not worried. But I'm dying to see a change that, in the system. That's all. That's all. I would like to see the young people enjoying together, black, white, enjoying together in a new Zimbabwe. That's all.